Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. I'm real excited. We got a guest coming up later on the program here. Going to be visiting with Hank Green about STEM education. Do you know what that means?
I have no clue.
Well, I had to look it up because I wanted to be, informed when I was talking. Science, technology, something, and math. What was there was something else. Engineering, maybe, in math? I have to look now. See? I have it written down on my notes. Anyway, that's coming up later in the program, so I got plenty of time to double-check that. Hey, the reason has yet to be found, but scientists say the birds' population on the planet is shrinking. We're having fewer and fewer birds. I think I know why. I went to the movie Sully. They keep hitting them with airplanes. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
Blame it on
Could
Sully. And then Pebbles. When you were a kid, did you ever have Pebbles cereal?
Yeah. Cocoa Pebbles, Fruity Pebbles.
Did you know that they were not named after the character on Flintstones? That happened later. They named them Pebbles because they looked like little pebbles. And then they're like, we should get a
I don't think they look like
deal.
pebbles.
So,
They're flat.
I don't know. They kind of look like little pebbles. All I know is that's the facts. Jack. Coming up, we've got some special things to chat about. That's on the way.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It's Monday, September the 26th. Today is Family Day. So they say it's a be involved and stay involved day. So there you go. It's also Johnny Appleseed Day. He was a real guy. There's some people that think that he wasn't, but he is. Johnny Chapman was his real name. It's also National Dumpling Day. Do you like dumplings?
I think so.
I
I
do.
can take them or leave them.
Ooh,
I don't
what?
need them, but
I don't need...
I've never craved
Who
one.
needs dumplings?
But have you ever craved
I
one?
need a dumpling or I'm going to die.
Have you ever craved one
How
is
did
what
he-
I'm saying.
how
Like,
did he
have you
go?
ever been sitting at home? I need a dumpling.
What happened? He had apparently a dumpling shortage. That's what took him.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
I mean, like, I
You could
need
take 'em or
Reese's
leave 'em?
peanut butter
No,
cups.
you don't. All right, today, speaking of that, it's also Shamu the Whale Day. I don't think that had anything
What are you
to do with
trying to
that.
say, John?
Nothing. I don't know what you mean. It's also Situation Awareness Day today and World Contraception Day. So, well, what a day. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Email marketing is affordable and a proven way to grow your business if it's done right. You can stay in contact with your customers to let them know when you have new things to offer. You stay in control the whole time too. You decide when the messages are sent and you decide what is being said. So you're constantly in control of your business image. You can do this, but don't try it on your own. Team up with one of the biggest names in email marketing, Constant Contact. Sign up for a free trial right now at radiosavings.com. Sign up now at radiosavings.com.
John and Heidi.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. You ever have all the kids attach notes to balloons and then release them to see how far they'd go in hopes that, there'd be a report of where the balloon landed? Have you ever heard of things like that?
I've heard of that. I've never done that.
I actually talked to an author who did a big, it was a Guinness World Record attempt, and I don't know how that how it turned out, but it was supposed to be over this last summer. I should do a follow-up with him. Karu Papritz, remember him? He's such a fun guy. Anyway, he did a world record attempt with balloons. Back to the story now. A kid's balloon released by a 5-year-old boy in the United Kingdom was found by a British soldier clearing landmines in Iraq 2,500 miles away. Little Kelvin Bulinski received a letter from Corporal Peter Allen telling him how the balloon had made him smile. The balloon was one of many released by Kevin's class on June 7th as part of a competition to raise funds for the school. The balloon had Kelvin's name and the school's address written on it. Head teacher Liz Waterland said the balloon must have caught a jet stream and just floated. That's a long ways to go. From England all the way to
How's that going to raise
Iraq.
money for the school?
I don't know. Maybe there are people...
I don't understand some of these fundraiser ideas that people do. I don't get how they bring in money.
So maybe there was people that were pledging, I'll give you $1 per mile on however far it goes. This kid got 2,500 miles. They're going around to collect. They're like, I thought I was going to go 15 miles. Wasn't there an episode of Seinfeld where that happened? There was something where somebody had donated a bunch. They said,
Yeah, $5 a mile or something for running.
was it Seinfeld or was it a different
It was
one?
Seinfeld. It was George.
Was it? And he didn't realize it was per mile. I was like, are
yeah.
you kidding? Per mile? How far did this kid run?
Yeah.
So, whatever it was. I just thought that was fun stuff. Anyway, this is a balloon that went from the UK all the way to Iraq, and it brightened the day of Corporal Pete Allen and me as well. And you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. Okay, first of all, I have to say something that we all already know. Fireworks and alcohol don't mix.
Yeah, that's a given.
Alcohol and minors don't mix. Fireworks and minors and alcohol definitely don't mix. 18-year-old Ian Reynolds and Charles Howe of Whitefish, Montana were using fireworks to blow up mailboxes set in heavy stone masonry. It was a structure 1, kids 0, when the fireworks went off, sending flying pieces of shrapnel into Reynolds, breaking his femur and his pelvis.
Oh,
Striking
oh
several-
my gosh.
Striking several arteries. Yeah, alcohol was definitely involved. To add insult to injury, the kids were cited with criminal mischief and minors in possession of alcohol. And I'm assuming if they were blowing up mailboxes, that's a federal offense. So probably wasn't a good weekend for those boys.
Oh, my
There you go.
gosh.
That happened in Whitefish, Montana. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh. A dump truck backed into Curtis Goki's car, and he decided to sue the city for damages. Only thing was, he was the one driving the dump truck. That minor detail didn't stop Goki at a Lodi, California. The city employee from Lodi, California, filed a $3,600 claim for an accident that happened back in December. Even after admitting the crash was his fault, after the city denied that claim, because Goki was, in essence, suing himself, he and his wife Rhonda decided to file a new claim under her name. City Attorney Steve Schwackbauer said that this one also lacks merit because Rhonda Goki can't sue her own husband. But Rhonda Goki insisted that she had the right to sue the city because it was a city's vehicle that damaged her private vehicle. So that is kind of a sticky situation.
Huh.
He was driving a dump truck, smashed into his own car, and they're trying to decide who's at fault. Well, it was him
It was
that was at
him,
fault.
so
but
he-
shouldn't there be insurance on the dump truck? You'd think. I don't know. I'm not sure how that works. If you're driving, like if I was driving and I smashed into you in your car, and I guess, I don't know how that works. I'm not an insurance agent.
But he was driving a city vehicle, so it's not like the husband was driving his own personal vehicle and crashed into his wife's car. I don't know. Unless they are concerned for insurance fraud, like maybe he did it on purpose, like was their car a piece of crap?
See,
and,
there you go.
Yeah.
Heidi, you're always thinking, man. We got your scoop of the day on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now, your scoop of the day. An ultra runner has set a new record for completing the Appalachian Trail in less than 46 days. He went through 20 pairs of shoes on his
Whoa.
trek. Yeah. Take a listen to this. Speaking of running, mom pumps breast milk in the middle of a half marathon. Oh, so you ran a half marathon? Ooh, good for you. That's impressive. But check out Anna Young. She not only ran a half a marathon, she was pumping breast milk in the middle of it. She gave birth 5 months ago, broke it down on Facebook in the group of Occupying Breastfeeding like this. She said, I nursed my daughter before I left my house, pumped after running the first 8 miles, and then nursed after I made it past the finish line. So she stopped to do this, I think.
I
don't know.
see.
I'm trying to understand how that... I'm just picturing somebody running down the road with a pump. I don't know. That's probably not how it worked. But wasn't that more fun to think that way? A woman who purchased an iPhone 7 online immediately knew something didn't quite add up. Instead of the Apple iPhone, the device was... she was kind of shocked to find an iPhone 3 and an iPhone 4 in the box. with a note that said iPhone 3 plus iPhone 4 equals iPhone 7. So, haha, thanks for the money.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so somebody out there has a good sense of humor, at least. Police in Australia sent out a Facebook alert that a teenage girl was missing. They received a reply from the girl saying that, I'm not missing, I'm in my room. Last place the parents would have thought to look.
I actually, that happened
know.
to me. So I'm not going to laugh at that because that
I think it's
happened
hilarious.
to me.
I thought of you instantly. Our son had been out the night before with friends and got home and didn't wake us up. So he was in his room sleeping. And Heidi's on Facebook saying, I don't know.
Only because
his
you
car wasn't
said,
home.
where's Troy? His car's not here.
Yeah.
So then I was freaking out thinking, oh, my son never came home.
I had somewhere to go in the morning, so I drove away and I called back to Heidi. I was like, hey, where's Troy? His car's still not home. You know, when I left, his car wasn't there. You could have walked in his room to look.
Why would I? You said he wasn't home. Why would I go check?
I just said his car wasn't home. Anyway, people all over the place are freaking out. Is he okay? What's going on? And then he wakes up and walks out of his room and is like, what's going on?
Yeah. So I can see how that would happen.
Yeah.
I'm not going to poke fun.
I mean, that happens every day. All right, police in China have detained a man who they say, since 2013, has called emergency response more than 700 times. When finally arrested, the man told cops he was, quote, testing the performance of his mobile phone.
Oh, wow.
So how'd it work for you there, huh? Pretty good? Yeah, that's what I thought. Take a listen to this. There's a property, a mansion in Boca Raton, Florida, that's for sale, featuring 2 huge water slides and a lazy river and way more, like 8 bedrooms, 9.5 bathrooms, a basketball court, 4 garages. Guess how much it costs to buy this piece of paradise?
How much?
$8 million.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah. Should we move to that?
Sure, yeah.
Boca Raton?
We'll take 2.
Yeah, I don't think so. I couldn't even afford one of those water slides. I couldn't even afford the garage. I couldn't even afford the float to go in the lazy river. Let's just say it's probably not where I'm going to be moving. Hey, an Arizona mom called the cops to report that her 3-year-old daughter had unbuckled her seatbelt on the drive home, so the cops came over and spoke to the girl about the importance of using a seatbelt. So, is that really the right way to do that? Is that I want to say this, seatbelts are important. I had a seatbelt save my life, but I would never waste the time of the police when I could just be a parent myself and say, you can't do that.
Right.
You know? So I'm calling the police. I'm going to have them come over here. That just seems a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I think they probably have more important things to
I think
focus
so too.
on.
And our final story for the scoop of the day. U.S. homes have a television on a lot more than maybe we think that they're on. How many hours a day do you think the U.S. televisions are on in the average home?
6 hours.
Well, you were a little low. In the average U.S. home, a television set is turned on for more than a third of the day, 8 hours and 35 minutes.
Huh.
That's a whole lot of television. It seems to me like when I turn it on, there's never anything to watch. So I'm like, I don't know what these people are watching. All right, coming up, we've got some fun things. We'll be chatting with a guest and much, much more on The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
When it comes to politics, quite often you have an opinion, especially for this election. How would you like a platform to let your opinion be heard? PoliticalStorm.com is that platform. It's a website with news from both sides, and you can chime in on any story, and you can add your own stories. You may even be invited to join me on my podcast for a chance to share your opinion, whether we agree or not. Sign up today at PoliticalStorm.com. You have a choice, and now you have a voice as well. PoliticalStorm.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. Today we're going to talk about something that I don't talk a whole lot about. We're going to talk about science and technology and engineering and math. The reason I don't talk about it is I'm not very good at that stuff. In the news, maybe you hear them talk about STEM education. We're going to be visiting right now with an expert in that field. And for those of you who are on YouTube, you might know him, Hank Green. He's a YouTube science star. Hank, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Very, very good. It's nice to visit with you. I have to admit, I had to Google STEM to find out what it meant, but I see it all the time in the media talking about STEM education, and I saw that it stands for science, technology, engineering, and math, and I was like, oh, that's why I don't know. I'm not good at this stuff. There are probably a lot of people that maybe these are not their strongest subjects, right?
Well, yeah, maybe. I kind of struggle with this idea that we are expected to pop out of the womb knowing calculus.
Yeah, exactly.
Much more interesting and much more, a sign of like the value of it that you have to work hard to get this stuff, and that's because it's hard for everybody.
But it's very important to know this stuff as well, because this can make a huge impact on your future, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. For young people, I mean, looking at career placement, it's a really good field to study. But it's also, I think, a good way to build a robust understanding of the world and have a good framework for properly understanding how things function around us. I don't love hearing you say that you're not good at this stuff, because maybe you are, and you just haven't found out yet.
That could be. My grades would tell otherwise, but so now, why is it that kids like me that don't understand math and science and those things, and maybe don't do as well, why does it seem like there's so many of us, and what is it that attracted you as a youngster that made you say, hey, I really like this stuff?
Well, I think that there's a bit of, can you get into a place where you understand that something that is hard is not telling you not to do it. It's maybe telling you that challenge can be exciting to overcome. And that's not an easy thing to feel. And it's not an easy thing to instill in our children. But I think a lot of how I ended up getting excited about this stuff is not just like a passion for the topic, but knowing that I was going to have to differentiate myself in some way, because it wasn't going to happen in the ways that were more socially interesting when I was in high school. So there wasn't a lot of, I wasn't going to be the cool kid. I wasn't going to be on the sports team. So I needed some other way to differentiate myself.
Now, it's not often that we get to talk to a science star on this program. So while we've got you on the line, we're going to ask some sciencey questions, all right?
I'm happy to answer.
All right. So some of the things that I'm looking at here as far as questions that get asked a lot in the world of science is, how does hair know when it's supposed to stop growing?
We have this idea that there's two kinds of hair on your body, right? There's the kinds on your arms that grow a little bit and then stop, and then there's the kind on your head that grows forever and would grow forever if you just let it, which is not actually the case. All hair has an active phase and a passive phase, and during the active phase there's blood flow to the cuticle and that hair is growing, and then in the passive phase the blood flow stops, the hair gets cut off and slowly moves through the skin until it's shed. And that happens on every hair in your body, which is a good thing, because otherwise you wouldn't like the way that you look. It would be a big pain in the butt. But it just happens much slower in your head hairs than on your body hair.
Could I transplant the arm hairs to the top of my head so I never need a haircut?
It would, yeah, you have a nice fuzzy little buzz cut there.
So another question, everybody's talking about Pokemon Go. I don't understand it at all, but what makes that technology work, where they're seeing things that we don't see? They're seeing it through their technology. How in the world does that work?
Well, I mean, there's so many different things that went into Pokemon Go existing, and things that did not exist, so that thing could never have existed, 5 years ago. Like things like all the little fancy accelerometers in your phone, so that your phone knows which way it's oriented. You have, basically having a high-powered computer with a really powerful graphics chip in your pocket and a beautiful, high-quality camera as well. And then you have the global positioning system so that your phone always knows where you are, do like the triangulation of satellites. It's amazing enough to get to work. And then you have this huge database that was massively crowdsourced to people all over the world of interesting locations that has been really fundamental in Pokemon Go working well and being an interesting experience. And that was actually put together by volunteers, people who have identified cool spots all over the world that have become now places where Pokemon exist.
That's really cool. It's amazing to me, even though I don't play the game. It's amazing to me, first of all, that it's even possible, and second of all, how fast that caught on and became a global sensation. Only with the technology we have today could that even happen.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a very weird thing to watch.
So steering back into the STEM education now, let's talk about STEM education and Emerson's STEM education and careers. Where can people go to get more information about that, and why is Emerson a good path to go?
Well, Emerson is a manufacturing and engineering company that makes stuff, and they shared this goal with me because I want people to get passionate about science, because I think it's good for the world and because I think it's good for individual people. But they want it because, maybe those things, but also they need people to hire in the future. They need people studying this stuff so that they can continue doing the great work that they do. And they put together a resource at emerson.com/ILoveSTEM. And the campaign is all about inspiring a new generation of creators and innovators, like show them not just the fun side of STEM and the life-changing skills, but connecting between the innovations themselves and the people that make those innovations happen, the scientists and the engineers.
That's awesome. And that's really smart on their part, because if we don't have people to fill the positions that open in the future, then we're going to hit the end of the road and the technology is not going to continue to expand. So I think it's awesome to get the next generation excited about this. And maybe looking back, maybe I should have paid a little more attention in science and math class.
Well, it's not too late.
Well, for me, it probably is. So I like what I'm doing right here. I don't think you could talk me out of moving now. But again, for people that have youngsters that maybe want to find a career in the STEM field, again, that's science, technology, engineering, and math. What advice would you give as a person that's very well known in the science world? Again, our guest today is Hank Green. How would somebody get their start in one of those fields?
Just be interested in it. And I think that the more you know, the more you want to know. And suddenly putting together those frameworks becomes a much less of an onerous task, something that you will actually enjoy sometimes.
Well, Hank, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us. It's been a lot of fun to visit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, Hank Green, YouTube science star. We're talking today about STEM education. Again, I Googled it so I'd be prepared for this interview. I wanted to know, what does STEM mean? It stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And again, like I said, for me, if you look at my report card in those fields, it was like, didn't do well, didn't do well, didn't do well, didn't do well. So you know why I'm on this end of the microphone and he's on the other end. But a big thank you to Hank Green for chatting with us today. You can find him on YouTube, by the way, and find all kinds of fun videos. Very entertaining and educational dude, so check him out. Again, Hank Green on YouTube. And if you'd like to know more about the program that we were talking about today, Emerson has a website, emerson.com/ILoveSTEM. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday.
John and Heidi.
This is the world's first and only 7-time lottery game grand prize winner. Since I endorsed Lottolicious, I have won something every single draw. When you join, you'll be giving them the set of numbers that you want them to play, and that's what they will play for you. You don't have to worry about running to the store to buy your tickets. They take care of all that. So if you're looking for the best way to play the lottery, go to RadioLottoPool.com and join today. Again, that's RadioLottoPool.com.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Chocolate has the same properties as falling in love. Yeah, there's a thing called phenylethylamine, PEA. It's a natural substance that is supposed to stimulate the same reaction to the body as falling in love. So that's why every time you have a piece of chocolate, you're like, oh, I love chocolate.
I know I love chocolate. I would agree with that.
Hey, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
A baseball has exactly 108 stitches. Each baseball. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, apparently they got cut good. That's a lot of stitches. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Hussy originally meant
Whoa.
housekeeper. That's what it originally meant. So if anyone's ever called you a hussy, they're calling you a housekeeper. You, housekeeper. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The average human will shed 40 pounds of skin in a lifetime.
Ew.
Yeah, that's kind of yucky. And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Ancient Egyptians could be put to death for mistreating a cat.
Oh.
So, yeah, you leave those kitty cats alone in ancient Egypt. Otherwise, they'll mummify you or something.
Huh.
All right. Thanks for listening to a couple of fun facts on a Monday.
John and Heidi.
Email marketing is affordable and a proven way to grow your business if it's done right. You can stay in contact with your customers to let them know when you have new things to offer. You stay in control the whole time too. You decide when the messages are sent and you decide what is being said. So you're constantly in control of your business image. You can do this, but don't try it on your own. Team up with one of the biggest names in email marketing, Constant Contact. Sign up for a free trial right now at radiosavings.com. Sign up now at radiosavings.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show. It is officially fall, isn't it?
It
Isn't that
is.
crazy? How did that happen? But fall is here, bringing cool days and crisp evenings and whatnot. But it also brings some allergies and sneezing and watery eyes. The National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease say that 35 million Americans suffer from seasonal allergies. Seasonal allergies. Ragweed is the most common allergy trigger of hay fever in the fall, although mold is another common cause. 17 species of ragweed grow throughout the U.S. of A., and if you have a pollen allergy, you have a 75% chance of being allergic to ragweed. Here are 5 ways to curb the sneezing and wheezing. Number 1, they say stay indoors. That's going to help. Number 2, change your filters. So if you have like furnace filters, we haven't changed ours for a while, so we should probably check into that, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Clean your air ducts. This is crazy. I remember putting an ad together for a guy. I remember recording this, and I couldn't believe it when I was reading what I was reading. It said, if you add up the square footage in your home air ducts, it's about the equivalent of another room, but imagine if you never cleaned that room.
I pretty much never clean any of our rooms.
I'm saying that's how
so
big
why clean that one?
The air ducts are all over your house and you never clean them. I'm like, oh wow, I never really thought of that. Next, it says keep allergens outside. Leave jackets and shoes and things like that bring pollen in. If you have a garage that you can leave those in, leave those out there. You don't need to bring them in the house. You're just bringing allergens inside. And then finally, take your medicine, doggone it. They have all kinds of over-the-counter antihistamines that can reduce the sniffles and the sneezes and the decongestant things. So they're saying if you're complaining about being sick, maybe you should take some meds to not be so darn sick.
There you go.
All right. I'm very fortunate that I don't suffer from allergies like you and like our son, Troy.
Actually, I haven't for years
You
now,
had
really.
acupuncture done.
Yeah.
And that worked really well.
Yeah, it's been 11 years.
It has, and she, it's unbelievable because I remember when you were going to get that done, I was like, whatever. And then the next day you're like, I can breathe. Everything's good.
Yeah,
it
really was. And then I took my son in because my sons were terrible
He's
too.
my son too. He's our son.
Our son.
You make it sound like I'm a stranger on a bus.
It did
bench.
work. I know it sounds insane, but it worked, and it's been 11 years. They're starting to come back now. I should probably go back in for another treatment. But
there you go. All right. Coming up, we're going to talk about smells coming from your hubby or something like that. It's all on the way.
John and Heidi.
Let's talk business. If you're in business, you need a website. Come on, it's 2016. Do you really think the internet thing is not going to catch on? Many business owners that don't have a website think it's just too expensive. Well, now it's not. You can actually build a website setup for less than $30 a month. If you need help designing it or just laying something out, we're here to help you. Get a free trial right now at radiosavings.com. You can actually build the site and see it online for free during this trial. So why not check it out at radiosavings.com.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. Husbands, want to drive your wife crazy? You might want to buy some cologne in the baking aisle rather than the fragrance department. Yeah, you don't need a lot of money. You don't need stunning good looks to make your wife crazy. All you need to do, splash on a little vanilla scent.
No.
A new report in the Perfume Collection magazine says vanilla is far more effective than the scents that are most commonly used in men's colognes like citrus and musk. So they're saying vanilla.
I disagree. I'm a musk girl.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Do I smell like musk?
You don't wear cologne. I buy it for you.
When I do, you don't even notice. So I spray it on and I walk past you and you act like I'm not even there. I'm like, apparently she's immune to this. That's what it is. That's what's going on. I'm going to try some...
I do like it when you wear cologne.
Yeah, I'm going to put on some
If you
vanilla.
need me to tell you every time I smell something
you smell
coming from
good.
your general direction, I can certainly do that.
Please don't. We don't have that kind of time. All right. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. Imagine walking into your first day of class at high school as a senior, being told you can go home because you don't need to be in class. That's what happened. It was supposed to be the beginning of their senior year, but when they came walking into the Lafayette High School in Brooklyn, 3 students were told they could no longer attend the school. Not because of bad behavior or poor grades, it's because they already graduated. Problem was, nobody bothered to tell them that they had enough credits to graduate after their junior year. By failing to be notified of their status, the accelerated students did not apply for college or scholarships.
Oh, boy.
Additionally, they were told in June by school officials that they could not participate in June graduation ceremonies. And despite the fact that it knows they made a mistake, the Board of Education refuses to allow the students to attend high school so they could actually take advanced placement classes
Right.
and college prep
Oh,
classes
my gosh, that's
to
not
bolster their
right.
credentials for college next year. Their only option now is to take the year off from school.
Oh, that's a shame.
These are 3 students who they had enough credits to graduate, so the school said, no, we're not going to let you come back in. You're done. You're out. You're done.
If
It's
they're
over.
good kids, let them take the extra
Yeah.
classes. What difference does it make?
I don't know. I have no clue. I don't know how all that stuff works. Coming up, food diary vital in losing weight. That's the headline that we're going to ignore coming up in a while. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
When it comes to politics, quite often you have an opinion, especially for this election. How would you like a platform to let your opinion be heard? PoliticalStorm.com is that platform. It's a website with news from both sides, and you can chime in on any story, and you can add your own stories. You may even be invited to join me on my podcast for a chance to share your opinion, whether we agree or not. Sign up today at PoliticalStorm.com. You have a choice, and now you have a voice as well. PoliticalStorm.com.
John and Heidi.
All right, here's a headline, Heidi. Food diary vital in losing weight.
All right.
Do we ever do food diaries?
We used to.
Did we really? Mm-hmm. I don't think I ever did that.
Yeah, we did. We had
Did
to.
I really? Mm-hmm. When?
When we were on that diet and we had to take our book in every single week and
Did
show
I lose
her.
weight?
And she, yes.
So maybe it was vital. Apparently. 'Cause
It's very important.
Here's the thing. I don't do a food diary now, and I'm not losing weight
That's
right
right.
What is the most powerful tool in weight loss, you might ask? Well, paper and pen, according to this story. Kaiser Permanente's Center for Health Research in Portland, Oregon says keeping a food diary is a powerful tool in helping people lose weight. A study involving 1,685 middle-aged men and women over 6-month periods found those who kept a food diary every day lost twice as much weight as those who did
Yeah.
not. A
Yeah.
food diary. Wow.
Well, if you think about it, if you're writing stuff down at the end of the day and you're like, 4 candy bars,
How do you spell Snickers?
6 pieces of pizza. Because it does. It makes you realize,
I
okay, I
suppose.
probably shouldn't have
This
consumed that.
particular study involved people from 4 U.S. cities: Portland, Oregon, Baltimore, Maryland, Durham, North Carolina, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I don't know why they chose those 4, but that's what they chose. Their average weight loss, by the way, was about 13 pounds, but those who kept good food diaries lost about 18 pounds compared to 9 pounds for those who did not keep the diaries. So the 13 was the average of everybody.
Of everybody, yeah.
All right. Companies, including Weight Watchers, use food diaries in their programs and several others. We didn't do Weight Watchers. The one that we
Nope.
did was something different. So apparently there's diet folks out there that know this kind of stuff because they're saying, hey,
It does help.
Take my product and write down what you eat.
Yeah.
But be sure to write down what you eat and be sure to buy my product. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. All right. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. We've got some good news coming your way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I think this is kind of good news. First of all, I got to ask you, have you ever heard of the butterfly effect? Do you know what that
Yes.
means? Well, Christy, for those of you that don't know what the butterfly effect is, just listen, we'll kind of explain it here. Chris Rosti has been testing the butterfly effect. That is a theory that says a butterfly flapping its wings on one side of the world could affect the weather on the other side of the world. Now, he doesn't have butterflies involved in his study, but this is a man who suffers from ALS. He decided to test that theory when it comes to giving. He recently gave $50 each to 2 girls that he met at a local diner and told them to do something good with it. It wasn't until weeks later that Chris learned of the impact that money had. He received an email from a group of children in Africa thanking him for the gift after the girls who received the money used it to help a village where their father had served when he was in the Peace Corps. Now, Chris is expanding his program. He plans to give out hundreds of these $50 butterfly grants to kids at local schools with a simple requirement. This is for you to do something good for someone else. I think that is such a cool idea.
That's a very cool idea.
So again, fascinating concept, really cool story. And I've got a link to this on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. So if you want to read more about that, you can check that out. I think it's really cool.
That's very cool.
I wish I had.
And it teaches kids to be kind, which is lacking, I think.
I'll tell you. That's one of the things I think we did right. I think our daughter and our son both
very kind.
They go out of their way to help others,
Yes.
and like to the point where it tears me up to even think about some of the kind things our kids have done. So that's where I look and go, you know what? We might not have been perfect parents. I mean, real close, but
pretty close. I mean, we should write a book.
Yeah, we should write a book. What not to do as parents. But we did something.
We've got great kids.
We did something right because we have kids that turned out pretty darn good. So. Anyway, this story is about a couple of youngsters that did something good with the $50 they received. And a huge thank you to Chris Rossetti, I think is probably how you say his last name, not whatever I said before, for starting that little butterfly effect campaign. Really cool. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great Monday. Thanks for listening.